Welcome to the Fertility Mind Podcast. I am your host, Jessica Friesen, a certified fertility mindset coach, a sound healer, and an international best-selling author. My mission for this podcast is to give you weekly episodes where you hear my own success with IVF and how mindset and manifestation changed it all for me. You will also hear from my guests who share their success stories in the fertility world. I want you to know that you are not alone. Even when things feel tough and when things feel like they aren't going your way, the tools and techniques you will get in this podcast, I know can change everything for you too. So thanks for being here with me today, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back. Today's episode is about putting yourself on a mental diet. The reason I'm saying put yourself on a mental diet because you're creating new habits and you're going to keep doing these habitual mental diet activities until it becomes and feels so natural that this is now a lifestyle change. But the first thing I want to do is I want you to journal about what the word dieting means to you and what is the feeling you get from the word. I know some of you are going to say to me, what does a food diet have to do with a mental diet, and why am I even journaling about the word dieting? Because I want you to think about if you've ever followed a meal plan or you have done a cleanse or you've done a diet, how did you show up to it? Were you amazing? Did you cheat little bits here and there, but you, for the most part, you stuck to it for the duration of the time period you're supposed to be on? I really want you to think about it. I want you to think if you've got negative associations with it, like restrictive or deprivation, or maybe even have the thought of, I'm going through so much right now, the thought of having to count calories, or the thought of having to not eat the foods that are so comforting to me right now, don't even want to do it. The reason I'm asking you to journal in this because you'll gain clarity, you'll gain an understanding, you'll gain an awareness of what that word is triggering within you. You're having a thought and a feeling about it. So as you listen to the episode and you keep hearing me talk about being on a mental diet, if you have those negative associations, you may not actually be hearing what I'm really trying to say. So I really do encourage you to come back and listen to this in a second time after you've released what those ideas or thoughts or feelings about dieting is. Because there is a certain sense about dieting that you can do with a mental diet. When you go on a diet, you are choosing to maybe take something out or change up the way you eat, maybe adding more fruit or veggies in if that's not a big staple in your diet. Maybe you want to really, you love having dessert after dinner because as far back as you could remember, you always had dinner and then you had a dessert. And you want to stay within that paradigm because that is a habit you're so used to. And the thought of breaking that is just frustrating to you. You could still have that dessert. Maybe it's, some fresh berries with a little bit of cinnamon. There are so many recipes out there that are healthy for you that can curb your sweet tooth craving. The reason I'm saying this is because there is such things as fertility diets, fertility nutrition. I'm not here to say they're good, they're bad, follow them, don't follow them. If you feel compelled to follow it and you hold a belief that that is going to be the key that unlocks everything for you, go for it. But this is about a mental diet, but it's also uncovering how you show up for yourself. Because when you're putting yourself on a mental diet, you are cutting out all the shit that isn't serving you. So if you're used to having a piece of chocolate cake or some type of sweet dessert after dinner, you know that, it satisfies a craving, but does it really serve you? Please know I love cake and I love sweet things. I have a big sweet tooth. So I'm not holding judgment against that because that I know so many people that is such a habitual pattern for them that they have their dinner and they always have a dessert and it's always something sweeter. Again, there's so many different options for that you can stay within that habitual pattern because the thing is paradigms are insidious. They have a death grip on us, and some of them we're completely aware of, and some of them run on autopilot that we do not know. But you're always supposed to replace a paradigm with a paradigm. You can't just cut something out and expect to not hit resistance. You may still hit resistance, but you start to keep becoming consistent and persistent with your new mental diet of cutting out all the shit that's not serving you. And that's the negative thinking. That is becoming aware of every time you drive to the fertility clinic for whether it's, for blood draws, for a procedure, picking up medications, whatever it is, you have those triggers, you have those feelings. You have a choice. You can empower yourself to say, okay, I just felt this feeling. Every time you get in your car, you feel fine. But as soon as you mentally know that, oh my gosh, I'm driving to my fertility clinic today, maybe your stomach instantly goes into knots and the chatter starts in your mind and you start to say, what if the doctor is super busy today? Or what if the doctor gives me not good news? What if this? What if that? And the chatter starts. Put yourself on a mental diet and start to say to yourself, are these thoughts serving me? No. If they're not, let them go and start replacing that thought with what do I want to feel? Well, I want to go into my imagination. I want to feel what it would feel like if I was living my life already with my desired family. What would my days look like? How would I be feeling? How would I be showing up every single day? Connecting with that feeling, tuning in to that frequency where it already exists and raising your vibration to become a match to it. The thing is, guys, isn't it? No matter how many steps I give you, if I gave you a 12-step process and said, do this, no matter what, you still have to do the work. Because here's the thing, I wish more than anything I could snap my fingers and I could do the work for you and I could collapse time. And the next time you go into your fertility appointment to start your process for bringing baby here, or if you choose surrogacy or adoption or whatever it is, when you're starting the whole process in a really good, positive way, I wish I could snap my fingers and do that. I wish that I was a psychic that I could say, on this day, this is when this happens. Unfortunately, I can't do that. And even with a 12-step program, you still have your emotional impacts. You have to use the law of gestation. The law of gestation is not about time because we think of gestation and we think about, pregnancy, it's 40 weeks, yada, yada, yada. It is about how fast you gather the evidence, how fast you become aware of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and how fast you're willing to change them. That is going on a mental diet. That is saying, I am turning off my environment. I am turning off what the doctor says to me. Yes, by all means, guys, I am not a doctor and I am not ever here asking you to go against your doctor. What I am saying is sometimes the verbiage of a doctor can be like, oh, because you have this underlying condition, this may make things harder. I'm not saying it can't happen, it could be harder. And our brain tunes into the word harder, and that starts to solidify, and we start to create a belief that this is going to be harder. And then our law of gestation, we're gathering evidence, we use our 5 senses, we are looking outside of us, constantly seeing proof in our environment. Yeah, it's going to be harder. And you start connecting with other people who are on a fertility journey, maybe even something or someone that has experienced something more similar to you. And oh my gosh, yeah, it's been hard. It's been this. And again, it's that solidifying proof. This is why I want you to go on a mental diet, because when you hear the things that your doctor says, what does that mean to you? It's almost like saying, thanks for showing me how this isn't going to work how I want it to work. Now show me what we can do. You can ask questions like, is there any other options? Is there any other things that we can do? And then you get to make the decision. Because, guys, I want to share with you, I shared with you in episode 1 of season 1, I was just so excited and so ready to start creating my family that I went into the doctor's office and I did exactly what they said. I didn't question, even if some things felt like this doesn't feel right. I always left with more questions. But I thought, no, I am not a doctor. This is not my profession. I don't have the medical background, so therefore I can't question them. I can't ask these questions. And I just did exactly what they said. And if you fall into an unknown category, that may instantly feel really frustrating to you because now you're like, well, this is even harder because at least if I had a medical diagnosis, I know what I'm working with. Right now, I don't know what I'm working with. So this has to be harder. This creates the disease in your mind. This creates proof in your outside world it's going to be harder, or that you don't even know if this is going to happen because you don't even know why it's happening in the first place. I want to put you on a mental diet because daily when I'm on social media, I see people posting their stories of how their infertility journey has made them a shell of themselves, how they've been on this for a year, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, and there's just no hope. That their world is just shattered and it's hard to go out. It's hard to do these things because you're constantly observing people living the life that you wish that you had. And it becomes this internal mental game of shaming your body, shaming yourself, asking yourself why. Why does Jane Doe down the street, who, jokingly, not meaning any malice, but jokingly said, we weren't even trying. We didn't even know if we wanted to have kids and we're pregnant. And you're thinking, I've been on this journey for 4 or 5 years. And I've experienced loss after loss. Why do you get granted the wish that I want, but I'm here? Guys, you know the internal struggle. This is why I want you to put yourself on a mental diet. Get off that train. We are not programmed to think about what it is that we want. We are programmed within our 5 senses to feel everything, to taste everything, to see everything. And what we see, taste, smell, touch, hear, that is it. Like, that is the truth. I'm going to go on a little side note for a minute because when I put my dog down last week, the most interesting thing happened. As she was passing in my arms, we had a very beautiful experience, but the thought freedom kept coming into my mind. I thought, she's free. She's free. And as the tears were strolling down my face, I thought, she's free. What does freedom mean to me? Later that day, after I'd cried all the tears that I could cry and things were settling down, I pulled out my bubble sheet and I started writing freedom. And some things really surprised me. I've never fully allowed myself to be free, including my younger years. Before I had, the life that I live now, before I had all of I'm trying to think of the word to say it nicely, but when you think about it, before I had a mortgage, before I had a husband, before I had stepdaughters, before I had my own children, when I was younger and I was free, commitments is the word that I'm thinking of. I moved to Ireland and I had the most beautiful experience for 6 months. And that was a point in my life where I was in my young 20s and I was free, free to be me. But here's the thing, I had one foot in the door keeping me back home, keeping me tied instead of being free, fully free, fully unattached, fully just free as a bird, free. I started uncovering these things and I started writing, I'm going to put myself back on a mental diet. Yes, I created a lifestyle change where I do the study of me, where I have a vision, I have my goals, I have my dreams. I make it a habit of connecting with those multiple times a day. I have a habit of, when contrast shows up or things don't feel as easy as I would love them to feel, I start to ask myself questions of what limiting belief am I holding? What actions did I take or did I not take? How could I rewrite the day so that it could be better? I do all these things. This is a natural habit for me. But uncovering something that it never dawned on me until the passing of my puppy and watching her go on to her next adventure. The word freedom came. So I told myself I'm going to put myself on this mental diet because I started uncovering a lot of limiting beliefs that I'm holding towards the goal that I'm working towards right now. So, yes, my goals now look slightly different than yours, but it's still the exact same process, whether it's for business or for your fertility journey or healing relationships or manifesting millions of dollars, whatever your heart desires, whatever you are focusing on, the exact steps are the same because we are all governed by natural laws. We just don't know them or we just don't think about them because we eat, sleep, repeat. Guys, coming from a former people pleaser, someone who woke up and, I was always optimistic. I always tried to find the good in every day, but I lived amongst contrast. I lived amongst turmoil, and no matter where it seemed that I turned, I was a product of my environment. If someone told me something or I looked in my bank account, that was the truth. And I would create feelings and thoughts and beliefs about it and assumptions about it. And I created a self-image about it. I created my worth about things. Some things I was worthy, some things I wasn't. I let other people's opinions of me dictate what I could and couldn't do in life. And that is the same thing of a doctor in your fertility journey. I'm empowering you to ask questions because I know so many of you go into your appointments and you were very similar to me. Just tell me what I have to do because I just really, more than anything, want to have my desired family. And you follow the next steps, and maybe you hear something and it doesn't trigger you. I want to share a story with you about my very last transfer. The transfer where I got pregnant with my last baby, my second pregnancy. I was in my fertility clinic and I could see that my nurse was very rushed, very stressed out, and she was still incredibly polite, but you could just feel the feeling of just like, okay, I need you to sign this, I need you to do this. And we were preparing for our transfer, and she had to give me my progesterone and oil injection. And we were talking about all the things that she was going to do, and the topic of embryo glue came up. I had embryo glue before, and even in the one where I was pregnant and it resulted in a miscarriage, she had said to me, I asked her a question, and this is why I was thankful for my mental diet that I had started putting myself on. I'll explain more after the story. She had said, just sign this, and I was looking through the things, and I said to her, I see embryo glues on here. Do I need to have embryo glue? And she said, well, the doctor has recommended it, so it's highly recommended. And I said, but do I have to take this? And she said, ultimately no, but it's highly recommended. And I just thought to myself, there was something in my mind because I kept saying, you know, I was at this point where I was in my mental diet where I would hear the things that the doctors would say or nurses would say, and I would say, okay, how does this feel for me? Is this in alignment with my goal? Is this in alignment for my dreams? Is this in alignment with what I want? Because I'm no longer paying attention to all the things that don't work. I'm only paying attention to focusing my thoughts, weaning out all those things that aren't serving me. But something kept saying inside of me, don't get the glue. You don't need the glue. And I said to her, I said, can I have a moment with my husband? And she said, yeah, I'll be back in about 20 minutes because I have to go see another patient. And I thought, perfect. So I talked to my husband about embryo glue, and he looked at me, he's like, Jay, we've had it before and we did have a success. And I just said, yes, I know. I said, something's telling me I don't need the embryo glue. I don't want it. And he said, is it money related? And I said, not really. I said, something's just telling me I don't need it. And he asked me a really good question. He said, Jay, if we walk out of here and we have a transfer, and he said, if this doesn't work, are you going to be upset that you didn't give it your all? You didn't give it the embryo glue. You didn't do this. And I said to him, I said, it's going to work though. I don't want to entertain the idea because I know that doesn't serve me entertaining the idea. And I said, you know what? I will be okay. I said, if I entertain your idea for 1 second, just to answer your question, I will be okay if this does not work and I chose to say no to the embryo glue. Because a past version of me, that if, for example, our transfer did not work, I would have said, did I make the wrong call? I would have, really second guessed everything. Did I make the wrong call by not choosing embryo glue? What if I chose the embryo glue? Would I had a different outcome? What if I would have done this, that? You understand. A past version of me before I went on a mental diet would have gone into that place. But instead, because I was on a mental diet, I said to my husband, no, I know this is going to work, and I just have a feeling like I don't need it, so I don't want it. And I said, if I entertain your idea for a moment to answer your question, I will be okay knowing that, yes, I still said no to the embryo glue. Guys, I'm not here. Please, I do need to reiterate because this is a public podcast. You do what feels right for you. I want you to know that. Do your research, ask your questions. If you feel like that's what you need, go for it. Because in my first 2 transfers of my secondary journey, I used embryo glue. Actually, for the first 3 transfers. My 4th transfer was my pregnancy with my son. But I used it. And I did get pregnant. And I'm not here to say it's good. I'm not here to say it's bad. Do your research. Do what feels right for you. Because if you would be that person that if your transfer was unsuccessful or resulted in a loss, I don't want you to be that person that looks back and be like, well, if I would have gotten this, Jessica told me not to get it. No, I never want to advise you that. You need to do what is right for you. I'm just sharing with you a story. When the nurse came back, we signed off that I didn't want the embryo glue. She mumbled something under her breath, and I know she didn't mean it with malice. But she said, it was highly recommended and you chose not to do it. I hope that this works for you. And I just thought, I know she felt really stressed out. I have no idea what happened in her day. I hold no judgment. I hold no bad regards against her, because I could only imagine what her life is day in and day out. But I heard that, and because I was on a mental diet, instead of that seed being planted, oh God, what did I just do? I just signed off of that I don't want embryo glue when it was recommended by the doctor. An old version of me without being on my mental diet, I would have instantly be like, no, wait, nurse, sorry, we're going to go with it. We're going to go with it. It's okay. We're going to go with it. Because someone planted a seed. If you go on a mental diet and you need to take space from your friends because Even they may be your biggest supporters along with your partner or your family. Sometimes they still plant seeds. Sometimes they say like, "Are you sure you want to keep going forward? Like maybe you need to take a break. Are you sure you want this?" Or, "Oh, I wouldn't do that, honey." Think about it. People plant little seeds and then you start to think about it. Some seeds can be planted and they never grow. Some seeds are planted and they start to really grow like wildfire and they spread really fast. This is why I want you to put yourself on a mental diet because I really, really, really want you to feel love. I want you to feel gratitude. I want you to keep focusing on your goals, your desires, and your dreams. Shut off those five senses. Listen to what the doctors or nurses have to say and then internalize it for you. Does it feel right? Absolutely, you can ask, is there anything else that we can do? Or is there something else that we can do different? Because you are on your journey. You get to be your own biggest supporter. And yes, it feels incredible when you have other supporters like your spouse or family or friends. But at times when I didn't feel 100% supported, my husband was always there with me. But there was a few, very few times, but my husband would say, "Jay, are you sure you want to keep going? Because I don't know how much more I can watch you go through this with you stumble and crumble, but pick yourself back up." And he said, "I don't know." I got to be my own biggest supporter. But guys, I want to share this with you. When you share your goals and dreams with me, I will hold them till the end for you because you deserve this. You need a cheerleader. I will be your cheerleader because this is my heart. I know the days. I can relate to the days of wanting to give up. I can relate to the why is this happening to me? I can relate this. Maybe I'm a bad person. Maybe I just don't deserve this. Maybe this, maybe that, because life handed me quite the interesting hand in life. I started putting myself on a mental diet in all areas of my life, and I started seeing all things changed. I focused on one at a time. I didn't try and change everything all at once because, my gosh, that felt overwhelming. But one thing at a time, and it started spilling into the next, into the next, into the next, and things simultaneously were starting to unfold differently. I want you to start putting yourself on a mental diet and saying, every time I have these negative thoughts, they're not serving me. They're not bringing me any closer to what it is that I desire. They're not bringing me any closer to my baby. So why am I entertaining it? Why am I entertaining this? And I know they have a death grip. I know sometimes it's just you wake up and you think, I don't want to have to think about my awarenesses. I just want to wake up and just go through my day. But I can tell you, I went through that too, and I experimented and I tried. But creating a habit, which is a lifestyle change, by being persistent and just doing it over and over and over again, my life is so different. My life is so different, and you deserve that too. Even if you think you have the most beautiful life as it is right now, you've got an amazing relationship with your friends, your family, your partner. The only thing that is missing is your baby. You can have that too. I want to share this with you guys. Your goal knows you are worthy. That's why you have this goal. You just don't know that you're worthy yet. That's why you put yourself on a mental diet. Do it over and over and over again. Prove me that my stuff doesn't work. Do it every single day so you can start proving to me it's not going to work. But then actually start to watch your life unfold in a beautiful way. Put yourself on a mental diet that when you hear certain words, you think, okay, Thank you for sharing that with me. But that's not in alignment with my goals or my desires, my dreams. What else can we do? Because I've heard the no, or I've heard the mm-mm, it doesn't feel right. So now let's get to where it does feel right. It doesn't feel good. Sometimes I should say, yes, it does feel good to cry sometimes because it just releases that emotion. I do love a good cry every now and then. But it doesn't feel good to be thinking about every single day, looking back at how much time you've been on your fertility journey. It doesn't look back. It doesn't serve you to keep looking back saying, well, last time I went to the doctor, this happened. Last round, this happened. Last this happened. It's clearly not working, or I don't even know if it's going to work. I want you to go to a place of love, not a place of hurt. I want you to really connect and really start seeing your life in your movie playing out. How would you wake up every day when you have your desired family? And start creating the movie from the moment that your baby or babies were born until they're 3 or 4 or 5. How does your days, look? How are they transitioning from a newborn to a toddler to a child? What do you do in your days? How do you show up? How do you feel? Don't go to the point where you think of what it would feel like to have a baby. See yourself in it. See yourself already having what it is that you desire and how you would show up, who you have to become, what you need to do. The universe always has infinite ways of giving you what you want. Think of this of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz when they tell her to go down the yellow brick road. I want you to visualize this for a second. You are in the field where you're at a crossroads, where you see multiple colored of roads because everything is happening simultaneously around you. But the path that we choose based off of our assumptions, our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs, and our actions keep us on that path that keep us only seeing one thing. If you really start to understand that everything is happening simultaneously around us, that at any given second, all those paths can appear and you can choose maybe the orange road or the purple road or the blue road or the green road instead of the yellow brick road. It will lead you to the destiny of what you want. You have to do the work. Put yourself on a mental diet. Let go of all the things that aren't serving you. Add joy and gratitude in your life right now. You can still enjoy life, even if you don't have finances to go on vacations or do these things, because I didn't. But you can still find joy in every single day. You can start to look at things all around you and find luxury. Maybe you have fun colored pens. Maybe you've got sticky notes that you can, at any moment, you can just grab. Maybe you have your own car that at any point you can just get in your vehicle and drive a place. There's luxury. Just change your definition of luxury. Luxury doesn't mean having a van versus a Porsche. I always say a Porsche because that's my husband's like dream car that he wants. You could be driving your vehicle and imagine yourself living and driving this amazing car. Every time my husband gets into our van or his truck, he absolutely loves his truck. So it's usually my van, but he's like, I'm driving my Porsche, Jess. I love this. And he's like, sometimes it's so funny. He even kind of revs the engine a little bit. He's like, oh, can you feel the speed? I'm thinking, okay. But I can do that for myself. I want you to understand when you put yourself on a mental diet and you're persistent at doing this, you are cutting out all the things that aren't serving you and cultivating this beautiful practice where you actually start focusing on your goals, your desires, and your dreams. Because before I found thinking into results or my coaching program or my law of attraction audiobooks, I was a people pleaser. I lived in my environment. Everything was just always happening to me, and I witnessed it day in and day out. And I really started to harness a belief that maybe I wasn't worthy, that, yeah, good things were happening in my life. I had lots to be grateful for, but it just felt like conflict and contrast and turmoil nonstop. And I was just existing in life and I didn't have a goal. Yes, I had aspirations. I wanted to, move up the corporate ladder. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. And I would think about like how fun it would be to travel more or to shop at a different store. I thought about these things and I would entertain the idea just momentarily and be like, well, yeah, that would be nice. But I am where I am right now and I can pay my bills. I have a car. I can do this. I can save for the next year so I can spend a week traveling somewhere. I can do that. I have what I have. I have friends. I've got a family who loves me. Like, what more do I need to ask for? I was never focused on a goal or I was never connecting to my desires. It wasn't until my fertility journey that more than anything, I really connected to my desire of wanting to be a mom, which I'd wanted since I was a little girl. But it wasn't until it was taken away that I was like, no, this is what I really want. And I'm willing and I'm determined. And I constantly go back to my fertility journey and I think about all the feelings. I go through all the steps that I did because no matter what my environment said, I shut it off. I put myself on a mental diet and said, no, no matter the pain, no matter the conversations with friends and family of like, everything happens for a reason. Maybe this isn't what you're supposed to have. I heard one of my reading partners say, everything happens in its right divine time. All things that triggered me. I thought, no, I'm I started leaning into everything happens in its right divine time, but I put myself on a mental diet. I didn't want to hear everything happens for a reason because there was no reason for this happening. All I wanted to know was that I got to be me. I got to choose what I wanted to choose. And if I was going to be on this road, this path, then I'm going to make this happen. No more entertaining the idea, what if this doesn't happen? No more entertaining the idea that maybe I'm not worthy enough for this. No more entertaining the idea of all things that aren't serving me. Anything that was not to get me to my goal, it didn't serve me. That was the diet. That was the chocolate cake that I didn't need. That wasn't going to help me get to my goal. I really, 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 really want you to hear this. I want to share this with you because Jim Carrey said this. And he said, fear is a player in life. And you get to decide how much of the script you want to give it. Think about that. We live in fear. We don't live in a state of love. We live in fear. And that fear, we are giving so much of our script, especially around our fertility journey. Flip the script. Put yourself on a mental diet and start to watch your life change. I love you. I am so proud of you. I am here for you. Because more than anything, I want you to have what I have and more. I want you to know this love. I really want you to know this love. Have an amazing day. I want to express my deepest gratitude for you tuning in with me today. I am proud of you, and I am sending you so much love. I want you to remember that you hold incredible strength and power within you. If this episode resonated with you, or you know anyone that would benefit from hearing, please share. And if you haven't done so already, head over to Spotify or Apple, and please leave a rating and a review. In love and light, Jessica.